record going? Great. All right, so we'll get started. We'll start today with Elizabeth.
Hi, everyone. My name's Elizabeth Zicarlo, and I'm finishing up my junior year as an information science and technology student. For short, we just call that IS&T. So I'm from the Delaware County area, and I lived in a dorm my freshman year, but I currently live in an off-campus apartment. I've always been familiar with Temple. Both of my parents are alum. But what drew me to Temple was all the experiences that I knew I would have. Temple was a great pick for me. It was close to home, which I wanted, but I also knew I would be able to kind of remove myself from home and immerse myself in Philadelphia. Something I love about Temple is that it's a really large school, so it's very diverse and you get to meet a wide variety of people, but you're still able to make the personal connections with your peers and your professors due to the student-professor ratio. So back in freshman year, I came into Temple as a business major, but I quickly realized that business just wasn't for me. And I felt a bit lost with what major to switch to. You know, there's a lot of them, it's very confusing. But after talking to my advisors and other students that were in different majors, I figured I would try something in the technology field, still unsure on what I specifically wanted to do. I was a bit intimidated because I knew nothing about the major. I did not know how to code, but I quickly realized that even though there are people that have been coding for years in this major, there's also a lot of people that were in the same position as me, coming in with zero prior knowledge. And all of the professors I've had have done a great job teaching you everything you need to know and accommodating all different knowledge levels. So once I took my first intro to coding course, I knew that this was something I definitely wanted to pursue. I love the thought process behind it, and I've gained great problem solving skills as well as improved my group work skills a lot. Another great thing about this field is that there's so many different career paths you can choose from. You don't need to know what you want to do, and you can change it up whenever you'd like. I'm also involved in a computer science outreach organization at Temple called STARS. So basically with that, we go to local high schools and teach students about coding. And pre-COVID, we used to hold workshops where students were able to come to Temple and we would teach them a variety of different things here. Sometimes we helped them build websites. We showed them 3D printing, things like that. And we also teach a local high school their AP computer science program. And we also tutor some students for the Java Oracle exam. And I was also lucky enough to go to the Grace Hopper Women's Conference, which is a women's conference encouraging women and minorities in computing. There, you're able to listen to many inspirational and successful women in the field. And I was also able to connect with many different companies about internship opportunities. I do have an internship lined up this summer with Deloitte as a consultant for their government and public services sector. And I'll be able to work on a team and receive a client to help solve real world problems with the skills I know and the skills they'll teach me. I was able to make the connection with them at Grace Hopper, but I was also able to speak with them at Temple's career fair. And the career fair, as kind of mentioned before, is where 80+ companies are able to come to Temple and you can speak with them personally about job and internship opportunities. And it's really important to put the name to the face when talking to these companies about these jobs. Something else I really want to stress is that it's okay not to know. It's okay to switch majors before figuring out what you're passionate about. I would recommend immersing yourself into anything you would possibly be interested in and talk to faculty and advisors to help guide your way. I also recommend meeting as many people as possible because other students can also help influence what might be best for you. I know it's a difficult process going through all of this online, but remember, you're not alone in any of this and other people feel the exact same way. Make sure to ask a lot of questions and best of luck to all of you throughout this journey.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Elizabeth. Next up, we have Eric, who's a recent graduate of our program.
Hey, everyone. My name's Eric. Recent graduate, I don't know. It's been almost 2 years now. So time certainly flies. But so I graduated, as you can see, in 2019 with a degree in math and physics. Right after that, I joined the Lockheed Martin team in Morristown, New Jersey, doing systems integration and test work. Still there working. I did, while I was at Temple, I was pretty active in the physics department. I did a small research project that was sort of working on math and physics and sort of trying to combine my two interests. And that was a really good experience for me. I think the important thing about that research assignment was, even though we didn't really manage to do anything or accomplish anything notable, it was a good learning lesson to sort of see that the cookie cutter examples that you sometimes see in textbooks in class aren't really what's solved in the real world. And even though, like I said, the research didn't really pan out very well, it did give me a lot of really good experience to go into the real world and get a real world job and, take on challenges and problems that aren't written in textbooks and stuff like that. So I always recommend that students really try to get involved in research, even if it's just a small project or something. Talk to your professors, talk to other students, and try to get involved. I also worked in the physics. I worked with the physics faculty and stuff as a lab assistant and helping with student grievances and working with the department that way. And then we also have a pretty active physics club that meets every week. They're still going strong. They have people come and talk, grad students, professors, and then every year they try to do little projects and stuff to do that and pass the time. And then they have a lot of good events like study halls and stuff like that, especially towards the end of the semester, where everyone gets together and sort of builds these really good friendships. I'm still I met some people in physics club that I'm still friends with today. They work with me at Lockheed Martin. We still, we're still best friends and stuff. So especially in these smaller departments of math, physics, and CIS, you definitely get to meet a lot of people and you have a lot of the same classes with a lot of the same people. So it's a really great place to, meet your future friends, meet people that you're going to be friends with for a long time. And when things get tough and classes are hard, it's always good to have those people with you. So I definitely recommend these departments. Definitely had a good time and definitely appreciative of my time here. So
Excellent. Thanks so much, Eric. Next up, we have our faculty. So I'll just do a brief introduction of each of them. From our Computer and Information Sciences department, we have Claudia Pine-Simon. She's a professor of instruction, and she is the faculty advisor for the Association of Computing Machinery and the Association of Computing Machinery for Women. Currently, she is teaching computer architecture, operating systems, and network architecture. Professor Pine-Simon has earned several awards during her time as a professor at Temple, including Honors Professor of the Year, CST Distinguished Faculty Award in Mentoring, and the ACM Outstanding Teacher Award. Prior to joining the CIS department, Professor Pine-Simon was a network engineer and project manager for a large multinational company. From our mathematics department, we have Professor Dr. Sam Taylor. After graduating from the College of New Jersey, Sam went on to earn his PhD in mathematics at the University of Texas at Austin. From there, he became a National Science Foundation postdoctoral fellow and Gibbs Assistant Professor at Yale University. In 2017, Sam joined the mathematics department at Temple University as an assistant professor, where he teaches at the undergraduate and graduate level and performs research at the boundary between algebra and geometry. He was awarded a research fellowship from the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation in 2020. He lives in Philly with his wife, Mary Grace, their son, Eli, and their dog, Charlie. And from our physics department, we have Dr. Vernon Soro, who joined Temple in 2012 as professor of physics and vice chair of the physics department. He will take over the physics department chair on July 1st of this year. He developed the studio physics teaching model within the physics department and currently teaches honors calculus-based physics and conducts research exploring the structure of matter using high-energy particle collider experiments. Dr. Soro is funded by several federal grants from the Department of Energy and is the spokesperson of a $2 billion new accelerator facility in the US called the Electron Ion Collider. He was the recipient of the 2016 William Caldwell Memorial Distinguished Teaching Award at Temple University, and he has co-authored a new textbook on foundations of nuclear and particle physics published by Cambridge University Press. With that, I would like them each just to have an opportunity to say hello. We'll start with you, Claudia. If you want to just say hi. You're muted, Claudia.
Sorry about that. Welcome to Temple. It is a very exciting place to be. It has so much energy. The diversity, as Elizabeth was telling you, really enriches and empowers people. And I love teaching computer science because I think that is the most empowering field in terms of not empowering you, but empowering the world. So I welcome you, and I look forward very much to meeting you.
Thanks, Claudia. Sam?
Welcome, everyone. I'm Sam Taylor. I'm happy to address any questions you guys have. I've been here since 2017. I love teaching at Temple. I love living in the city. And I'm happy to go go into more detail or address any questions about the department or the school or the city.
Thanks, Sam. Baron?
Hi, I'm Vernon Soro. It's a great pleasure to welcome you today in this session. I was very impressed what our current and former students were telling you, Elizabeth and Eric. Elizabeth was referring to that. It's a large university, yes, but the faculty-student ratio is just absolutely wonderful. I can tell you I'm teaching this honors course since 5 years. I'm still in contact with some of the students, even after they graduate or move on to graduate school. It is just an absolute delight to be here and teach. And Eric was telling you something about getting involved in research work. I would not get stressed out about if this ends up in a publication. Yes, it would be great, but the entire experience in working in a lab and then moving onward, as Eric said, he's working in the industry now at Lockheed Martin. This is all what matters. Thanks and welcome.
Great, thank you. So this is the opportunity for you to ask any questions you would like of our current student, Elizabeth or Eric, our grad, or any of our faculty as it relates to your interests, your choice of major, anything at all about Temple. You can just raise your hand and we'll unmute you, or you can chat your question in the chat feature. Okay, so we have a question about research. So why don't we just start with you, Baron?
Okay, so there's a variety of different types of research work. So in my field is in nuclear and particle physics. So the actual experiments, the actual collecting of data, we do that in larger particle collider laboratories. For example, in my case at Brookhaven National Laboratory, where we're currently designing a new accelerator facility, which will start in 10 years. But what we're doing in-house in various labs, in offices, is large-scale data analysis. So computational work is one very, very important element. And the other element is the design, assembly, and testing of detection equipment that we're using to analyze these high-energy particle collisions. So besides nuclear and particle physics, there's a very broad area in condensed matter physics, both theory and experiment, in our department, in addition to atomic and molecular physics. Any other questions?
Great, let's go to Sam and talk about research in math.
Yeah, so my research is sort of at the boundary between geometry and algebra. It occurs in the field of pure mathematics. We have faculty now who are in pure mathematics doing research with undergraduate students in the field of abstract algebra. That is going very well. Our department also has a very strong applied math group. And in applied math, you'd be working with more real world problems and taking the tools you learn from mathematics to study them. So I know we have undergraduates working on problems in traffic flow and virtual reality. We also have students who are within our department, the math department, and do research with people in other groups, people in the biology group, where they use their mathematics skills and apply them to that sort of research. So there's lots of opportunity, whether you're interested in applying, the math that you learn to real world problems, or doing things that I do, which doesn't have anything to do with the real world. It's more about the structure of geometry and understanding these complex algebraic systems. Whatever your interest is, you learn the mathematics and then you apply it. And there's lots of opportunities to do that here.
Great. Claudia?
Yes, our department offers a tremendous amount of research opportunities for undergraduates. We have a IST bioinformatics center in which many of the undergraduates are able to do research with those professors. We also have people doing research in computer vision and deep learning. And there's a lot of opportunity, and we encourage undergraduates to do research. And many professors have grants in many other different areas, and also encourage undergraduates to do research in those areas.
Great. Eric, do you mind just telling your student perspective about how did you go about getting involved in research?
Yeah, so I think Typically, there's two paths that you can go. I think the most common is the undergraduate research program. So basically, you get sent out a giant list of every faculty member who's looking for a research assistant from an undergraduate. So anywhere from a freshman to a senior can apply and potentially get credit or earn some money for it. And like the professors were saying, there's almost an infinite amount of areas where you can do this research in. I specifically did mine through the honors program. You can have a stipend to do summer research programs. So that was more me going to a professor and working with them directly. But really, all you have to do is just check your email, and there's always these opportunities coming into your inbox. So it's mostly just important just to ask and try to start those opportunities as fast as you can.
Great, thanks. Claudia, you hinted at this. Could you tell us a little bit about the difference between computer science and information science and technology?
Yes, there is a difference. The computer science has much more math, a much more systems oriented. Also, there's more calculus in computer science. Information systems and technology, which we finally call IS&T. The emphasis is on application software development, how to use system software. Computer science is pretty much how to write system software. Software engineering would be something that would be a profession that computer science would create a path, but also IS&T has more business analysts, different types of programming, also software engineer, support for networking and server support. And we have a lot of minors now that also in cyber security and digital forensic. We also have one in data science and also programming languages. So there are a lot of different opportunities, but I would say IS&T has a lot less math and a lot less computer theory. Would you agree with that, Elizabeth? You're shaking your head.
Yeah, maybe Elizabeth could tell us, since you didn't start off in CST, like what helped you sort of make that decision to select IS&T as your major?
Sure. So when I was in the business department, I knew that I wanted to do something a little bit more in the STEM side. I've always been naturally a science and math type of person. So the computer science field really intimidated me because, again, I had no knowledge. But I knew with that you did have to take, I think you have to take up to Calc 3. And I knew that was a bit more of the coding aspect of it. While information science and technology, I think you have about 4 or 5 coding classes. So I do know how to code, but you do more than that. And you kind of see how the code is implemented. And I definitely gear toward the business-ier side of STEM, which kind of is that perfect mix between the business department and computer science. Because I do have some skills that the computer science majors learn, but I also do have some of the skills that the business major learned. So it was kind of just that happy medium for me where with the careers I want to do, I could go towards a more business major and use the knowledge of coding, or I can go through more of a technology major and use the knowledge of business.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Sam, could you tell us a little bit about the resources for students who might be concerned about mathematics and how they can be successful?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So one thing I think our department and the college in general does a great job at is providing lots of resources for students, not just students who are struggling with the material, but students sort of lots of opportunities along the way to build up their confidence and build up their ability to sort of problem solve and work problems from different classes. So for one, I guess the thing that I'm most involved with and I think is the greatest is a tutoring center. It's called the Math Consulting Center. We just call it MCC. It's the mathematics department's own tutoring center. So it's housed within the department. You know, it's in our building. A student can go directly from their calculus class or their pre-calculus class, you know, up a couple of floors into the tutoring center and get help with any kind of problem that, you know, any kind of problem they have in the class, or really just the opportunity to speak with people who have sort of mastered the material. One thing that's great is it's organized, it's run by some of our graduate students and advanced undergraduates who serve as this intermediary between like the material, the professors, and the students. And so they're a great resource to learn from as well. So I've had a lot of students in my, for instance, current calculus class who have told me what an awesome resource this is. There's also resources at the college and university level. There's the Student Success Center, which I know has their own tutoring program that I've heard very good things about. And then, you know, throughout the semester, there are various other opportunities. I know that there are study halls that are being run for some of the pre-calc and calculus classes that get students ready to take some of our exams before they happen. They run at particular times before the exams. And there's just sort of lots of opportunities to sort of get caught up on material and then get ahead with material. You know, really good for students taking the various classes.
Great, thanks, Sam. I'll just also add the Student Success Center has peer assisted study sessions. So it's a student who was successful in that course previously and will lead a student-centered review. And then similarly for our CIS department, we have peer assisted peer tutors for all of the lower level CIS courses. So you can get a peer perspective to help you with some of that. Baron, I want you to talk a little bit about one of our new majors, which students may not know about because it won't be in our bulletin until this summer, our materials science major.
Yeah, so let me just give you a little bit an overview of that. So material science, what is material science? Well, the science of material, but let me just dive in a little bit more detail about this. So material science is an important aspect as a research and education driver for the College of Science and Technology in general. And it reaches students almost across every discipline in science in general, in technology, and also branching out into the College of Engineering. And as a discipline, it represents a variety of aspects starting from quantum theory, so really understanding the world around us at an atomic scale, computational design of materials, synthesis and characterization of materials, and in that way, as a feedback loop to actually, in a dedicated way, actually design materials in a lab, which you then can use for various technological applications. And that is an area I can tell you, which is enormously supported by the Department of Energy and National Science Foundation. This field has, I would say, traditionally evolved from what do you think of material science? Well, metallurgy and alloys, but has then go much further beyond that, semiconductor material, and also includes soft materials, for example, synthetic growth material or polymers. And one last thing I want to emphasize to you, there's a huge need for trained physicists in material science. The job market looks extremely positive, and especially in the Northeast, stemming from a survey in 2019 from the US Bureau of Labor and Statistics. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to talk to you about this in more detail. But I don't know who it was. I think it was also Elizabeth who said something very wise in the beginning. Don't stress yourself out in the beginning. You start with physics, for example, or math or chemistry or whatever, and you're stuck with that. No, you start. And maybe along the way, you realize, well, I'm actually interested in physics and data science, or I'm actually interested in chemistry. You can switch along the way. This opens to you a new world. It is very rare that students start and already know extremely well what they will do 4 years down the line. You're in a new environment and take advantage of that. And adding one last remark, what Eric was saying before, how to begin in research work, I simply strongly encourage you at the end of a class, when you're taking a physics class with a physics professor, send him an email, or at the end of a class, go to him and talk to her or him about their research work. And this is how I actually got in touch with a lot of undergraduate students who have worked with me, numerous students over the years in my labs.
Great, thanks so much. It might be helpful for us, since it is a small group, if you don't mind putting your intended major in the chat, because then we could maybe give you some more information. And or if you have any questions, please, we're here to answer your questions that you might have. So I'll just give you a moment if you don't mind putting in the chat your intended major. That will be helpful for us. We can maybe give you some more guidance.
Tom, while they're doing that, I just wanted to, if you don't mind, go back to what Eric was saying. He was saying to the students that there are multiple opportunities for research, and Eric touched on URP, or the Undergraduate Research Program. This is a program I just wanted to clarify that you apply into, and thereby you can get some support, monetary support, over the summer while you're doing that, so that you won't have to go work at McDonald's or work at a restaurant or something. You can actually get some support. But I also wanted to clarify that students, even if you didn't apply to the URP program, there are still opportunities for research regardless, starting very early on. Now, for URP, you have to wait till you have 2 semesters at Temple, so you'll apply in your second semester, but you'd be starting that in the summer between your freshman and sophomore year, or in your sophomore year. But again, there's lots of opportunities regardless. So I just wanted to clarify that for everybody.
Great, we have a pretty good mix of students here. All of the departments are represented. That's great. So, I mean, if you want to ask any individual questions, we can facilitate that for you. Each of the faculty, I'm sure, would be willing to put their emails in the chat, so you could reach out to them directly for any questions related to that you want to ask after this session. Kelsey, do you want to talk a little more in detail, particularly as it relates to the internships and job fairs, and how it's an amazing opportunity for students to really connect with? We have built these relationships with companies. So just chat a little bit about when are they, how many of them happen a year, all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. So we have 2 job fairs that happen each year, one in the fall semester and one in the spring semester. And a lot of times for our technology or math and physics students, the employers who are looking to hire students for internships for the summer, we've noticed that recruitment is starting earlier and earlier in the fall semester. And so for your first year coming in, while we 100% understand how intimidating a job fair can be starting out, it's one of those experiences that the sooner you can get started and meeting with employers just to talk with them about what opportunities they have available, what students have done in their organizations, and what they would be looking for in candidates when you are either looking to do an internship or just wanting to know what you can be doing in your personal time outside of the classroom to help build up your resume. And more we keep hearing how important it is to be networking and using your personal influences and professional influencers around you to help you get those connections and those opportunities. And these events, the job fairs, we have employer networking events, and throughout the semester. And then we even have with the student organizations, we have employers who, I know Claudia is shaking her head because we have so many employers who, want to connect specifically with ACM, ACMW, and we send them right there. And so many of those students end up, meeting with those employers, learning about the opportunities and, next steps. And, I know that there was an event, gosh, I guess it's a few years ago now, but where I forget which employer it was, but Lockheed Martin. Okay, thank you.
Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, and they hired like a handful of students.
22.
Yeah, there you go. 22 students that night when they came to campus and talked with students. So the opportunities are available for you to be connected with these organizations and find your next opportunity for your career success. You just have to take advantage of them. And if you're not sure, or you're nervous about talking with employers or different organizations, in our office, I mean, we do appointments. You can just honestly pop in and we'll likely come out and say like, okay, let's like chat for a few minutes if we can, and we'll help you, right? We're going to help you formulate, you know, what do you say? We're going to tell you to practice right in our office. Anything we can do to help you feel more comfortable in making those connections. So like I said, I understand that there's a little bit of hesitation maybe starting off when you first get to campus, but the sooner that you can begin, the more you're going to be able to do.
Great, thanks, Kelsey.
And actually, I'm going to add on about the research too, just because this is something that we talk about with students as well. And I know with sometimes with like CMP, it's like, oh, well, I'm not sure I'm going to do research. Maybe I want to go into industry. I would recommend getting research experience if you can, because you never know what it's going to be like until you do it. And as Evelyn was saying, you know, there's opportunities in the undergraduate research program, but there's so many opportunities to just volunteer and connect with faculty. So when you're in class and your faculty member might be talking about their own research or different opportunities in the departments or anything, grab onto that and reach out, even just for a conversation, to learn more about what those folks are working on and to know what's going on in those industries and the fields. And then you can say, okay, well, maybe I want to pursue this a little bit and, you know, see what happens. Or maybe you don't, and that's okay. But just that's, you know, another way of also building a network and connections that you don't know where those could lead as well. So definitely, you know, try not to rule out too much, keep an open mind. I know, you know, starting out, it can be easy to be focused, but just let especially your first year, be a time for exploration and learning as much as you can.
I always say, I taught the freshman seminar one semester, and I always say, think outside the box. When you're looking for gen eds, or you're looking for other electives, perhaps that you just free electives, you have an opportunity for free electives. Take something that's way far afield from where you think, you know, something that's just really quirky and interesting to you, because you just never know where it leads, or how it might help you in the future. So do that, have fun with it.
Yes, and there's so much connection too, with like interdisciplinary, and there's a lot of interdisciplinary research that happens as well at Temple too.
I just wanted to add, in terms of research, we have had undergraduates actually publish papers at different conferences with the designated faculty person in terms of the research. So this can open up all kinds of doors for you. So research is really kind of important, but you should have a lot of flexibility, as Evelyn was just talking about. And just because you follow one path doesn't mean, and I'm a perfect example of that, mean that that's the path you're going to wind up. You know, there's a tremendous amount of flexibility at Temple. So make sure that you understand if this is not the right path, there's plenty of opportunity to change that path.
Great, and as we're approaching the end of our session, I just want to give Eric and Elizabeth an opportunity just to say one or two of their favorite things about being or having been a CST student. We'll start with Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I think my favorite part was the small departments. You have the opportunity to really get to know the professors a lot. You sort of, over the course of a semester, you know, when you have a class of only 10 students, you really get to know, you know, what a professor is doing, it would get to the point where during office hours, I would come, they would help me with my homework. And then we would start chatting about, oh, I went home this weekend and I, you know, visited my family and we did this. And you really start to build those relationships. And a lot of that stuff really does benefit you in the long run when you're looking for things like research and recommendation letters and stuff like that. If you want to go to grad school, or if you're looking to apply to industry, and maybe, you know, I had one professor who helped me with my job search and was like, you know, printing off, you know, job stuff and saying like, hey, have you considered looking here and stuff. So having those relationships and being in such small departments, obviously like biology and stuff, sometimes you get a lot of students in a lot of classes, but in these departments, you get to build those relationships a lot better.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. And Elizabeth?
Yep, I have to second everything that Eric has said. And something else I really like, especially about the department, is that since it is relatively small, I have been in classes for about 2 years with the same students, and I will be graduating with the same students. So you get to know them a lot better, and you're able to make those friendships, but they can also help you with school, and they can also help you with finding jobs, because you're all going to be searching for jobs and internships at the same time. And then the professors, especially in my major, you have the opportunity to take them more than once. So again, you get to make those relationships, but you also, there's so many opportunities with your interests, that there's a lot of clubs that you might not think exist, but they do. So they don't have to be in the same department that you're in. You can try taking like a French class or something like that. So that is definitely an aspect that I really like, because it's going to be boring if you don't like anything you're doing in college. So definitely take up on those opportunities to do something you're interested in.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Elizabeth. Anyone of the students in attendance have any questions at all? Okay, so if you had an aha moment today, or you're already set, ready to go and to come be part of the Temple community, great. You can reach out to all the professors here provided their emails. You can reach out to them if you have any additional questions. You can reach out to Danielle London if you have any questions as well. There's a link for other things going on today. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.